Today I thought I'd take you out and show you how to make some cordage out of things you find in the woods or around your yard. Not too long ago I saw a lady making cordage out of iris leaves, the dead leaves that have fallen down. And so I got the bright idea I was going to look around my yard and see what I could find to make some cordage. And I ended up finding like the dead leaves from spider lilies from last fall, and I took them inside and went through the process and made some cordage out of the spider lily leaves. Now it looks really nice. It's really cool. Now this one I haven't trimmed up yet, but I made a fairly decently long piece. Let's see, about 2.5, 3 feet. But I found out that once it's dry, this particular leaf doesn't have enough fiber pieces in it to make it very strong, and I found out it just snaps. So I'm going to just end up using this as fire starter. That was not a good choice, but I did learn how to do the twisting method and ended up making it into cordage, which was fun. It was a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go out and look, see if I can find some other things that might be stronger than this. Something with a little more oomph to the fibers, and see if we can make us some cordage. I read online you can use, of course I saw the lady using the iris leaves, and then someone else recommended some palm leaves, which I've got this palmetto palm out here. I'm going to go take a look at that. I saw a couple other places somebody recommended cedar, maybe the fibers out of yucca plant. Of course you can use roots. And I'm really looking for something that I don't have to dig up out of the ground and get all dirty. Something that I could harvest from easily without doing a whole lot of work. So this, I don't know that this is the right kind of palm. I think that what they were showing needed to be the kind that makes these, that you can find these fibers that come out of the middle. Not this, because that's not very hard. That's not very stiff or very, it breaks easy. So I don't guess this isn't probability. Apparently there's a particular palm that a lot of these fibers hang off, and you can pull them directly off and use them. That's just too thin. That just doesn't have any. No, that's not going to work. So let's see what else we can find. I really don't want to dig up roots. I don't feel like getting dirt on my fingernails today. Cedar bark was mentioned. I just don't, well, for starters, I don't really want to pull this off my live tree. But I don't think these fibers are going to be strong enough to weave into cordage. It's just, to me, it seems kind of dry and brittle. I've got these pieces down here I'm saving for a project, but even that, I mean, even if I strip the fibers off of this, I think it's just going to be too, I just don't think that's strong enough. So we won't use that. I know where a yucca plant is. Let's go get it. This is pampas grass, and back a couple months ago, at the end of every year when it dies, we burn it. This thing has been here for so long. It has, the original plant was here, and it slowly has grown into a circle like that. I need to dig up these and move everything back into a bigger clump. But anyway, I was thinking if I could gather enough of this stuff here. This is actually kind of strong. The only problem with it is it's got barbed edges, and it would probably hurt trying to make cordage out of that. And it is really strong. I think I'm gonna skip that. I believe it's gonna tear my hands up. That's crazy how this has grown. I do know there is a yucca that I think might have some fibers that I could use. It's up here in the woods. It was something that was growing. There used to be a home site here before we built. It's a long time ago. It had since been gone. They apparently had yucca in the yard. Just some of it was up where that ditch is. We dug it up and threw it in the woods because we don't like yucca. Or I don't. But, that's yucca right there. Ouch. And I'm in a thorn. That's an old yucca. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, I keep getting stuck in the thorns. This looks like really strong, fibrous leaves. Let me see if I can get over here and get some more without getting in this thorn. Man, I guess that's last year's. I don't know. I don't know anything about yucca other than they're pokey and I don't like them. Let's see what we can gather though. Take it back to the house and work on it. Alright, I'm gonna have to have a knife. Alright, I got a decent handful of these leaves. Are quite tough. I think this is gonna actually work very well. We'll get that back to the house, get it soaked. It's supposed to soak. How do I get out of here? I'm not stepping on the thing. It's supposed to soak it in water a little bit until it gets pliable, and then that's when you start making the cordage from it. Let's go in the house and do that. I'm going to run some water, warm water into the sink, and I'm going to add these yucca leaves to it. Let them soak a little bit so they become softer, a little more pliable, and we will go from there and see about making that cordage. Kind of excited. Alright, now these have soaked long enough that they are not very stiff anymore. They're pliable, so I'm going to go ahead and let the water drain out. I'm going to just take off any of these. See, that's stiff. Let me find some scissors. Take off any of the parts I'm not going to be using. That gets pretty thick. Plus it's, I think that's burned. So I'm just going to use the flattish area of the leaf. I'm going to cut off this part because I'm not sure if that's going to do well. Actually, it looks like it might do well. I don't know. It may make a little, I don't know. We'll do that. I'm just going to get a few strips of it laid out here, ready to go. You start by twisting it. And then curving that over, and you want to start, you don't want them to be the same length here. You don't want to do that in the middle. And I'll explain why in just a moment. And we're going to give that a good twist. Turn over and it'll make a little loop, and just holding that, you're going to twist. You can do this two ways. You can either twist clockwise and then counterclockwise, swap places. Clockwise, counterclockwise, and swap places. Or if you're more comfortable twisting this one counterclockwise, then you would go clockwise, swapping places. But I'm more comfortable doing it this way, so that's the way I'm gonna do it. So twist, twist, change places. Twist, twist, change places. This is going to make a great cord because this is very robust. It does not tear easily. Alright, so when you get down to where it starts getting kind of short and you need to add to it, you'll take a leaf. We'll go with this long one. And you're going to do the same thing. Well, you're going to bend it, not in half. You want one longer than the other. I'm going to kind of twist that a little bit or make it smaller. That's a wide leaf. And you're going to add this to it right here. Probably shouldn't have twisted that. Let me undo it. I wonder if these leaves could work well by splitting it, since it's so wide. I'll do that. Alright, so I've got this cordage here. I'm going to bend this so that the two ends are not even. I'm going to add that to it. I'm going to twist that off right here, so that when I start twisting this, I'll twist the two together, and that will make this longer. So you just keep twisting. That's kind of stiff leaf. Might should have soaked it a little bit longer. Earlier I said I explained why you want to leave one shorter than the other, is so that when you add the next one in, that doesn't become a weak point. You still have the length of this on here. See, if both of these were the same length and you added another end, they were the same length, every time you would go to join one end, it would become kind of a weak point because of you aren't staggering the lengths, if that makes sense, I hope. So here I've got to where I had run out of this, and this is where this one picks up. Yeah, I did not cut off this very coarse section of the leaf. This is toward the base of where it hooks onto the stalk of the plant. It's kind of stiff. I'm going to try to work that out a little bit. So we'll just keep twisting and then changing places. I call it changing places, but basically we're twist that clockwise, spin that counterclockwise. Alright, I'm going to add another piece. I'm going to add the shorter section here, the longer section to this one. I should have let these soak a little longer. They're still a little bit stiff. But anyway, you get the idea. Once you've reached the desired length that you want, you just tie it off and then come back and clip these things off if you don't like that. I'm going to keep going here for a little bit longer. I'll see if I can get it about 2 feet. And when you're doing this, be sure you don't just hold it up here. Hold it down near where the last place was that you twisted here, just to kind of hold it in place. Because if you held it up here, then eventually you might unravel this, but as you do it, you just hold right there at that joint and then move your finger down. So you're probably wondering, well, okay, so you made cordage. What are you going to use it for? Well, quite frankly, for me, I don't know. If I was out in the wild and wanted to build a cabin or something, or logs or structure that I needed something to bind up the ends, or even make something to hold a pot over the fire, that I could use it for that. I personally probably would never be in a position that it would require that I have to make cordage, but I want to be able to know how to do it in the event that I need to do it. And probably at some point I will make some of this and try to put it to use and just see how practical it is. I know, like on some of these survival shows, you know, like Alone or I guess Naked and Afraid, I don't really watch that one, but I know it's kind of a survival thing. They make, especially on a loan, I've seen them make cordage to hold together a hut. They would cut down small logs, and sometimes they even need to bind ends together, and they would make cordage for that. So that would be a use for it. Now, I hope I don't really get into a situation where I need to survive like that. But if I do, I would like to think that I could make things work, that I would have the ability to do it. Because, I mean, you're in a survival situation, pretty much you're not going to have a cell phone to go jump on Google and find out how to do it. So you need to know these things ahead of time, so when the time comes that you might need to do something like this, you already have that knowledge in your head. So it's good to practice things like this. I mean, you never know. You know, people always refer to when the crap hits the fan, what are you going to do? Oh, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run to the woods. And that's kind of the whole point of it. You need to know these things so that when you do run to the woods, you can implement them and make life a little bit easier on you. Ooh, that does give you hand to work out. My fingers are tired. This would be something, I mean, this takes a while, so you can't think, well, hey, I've got 2 hours, I've got to build me a house or some kind of structure, and think, well, I'll whip up some cordage really fast to tie my logs together. It's not going to whip up fast. You're going to spend several hours making enough, it looks like. All right, I'm going to, since this is toward the end of this one, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. Oops. That's the yucca. This is why I don't like yuccas. The ends of the, when the plant leaves are green, these pointy ends, they're quite painful. You can actually use that as a needle if you were needing to sew something. That's quite sharp. Get that off, it keeps poking me. That would be something interesting for another video. How to use a yucca thing for a needle. Let's get out of the way. Look at this nasty mess. Should have probably done this outside, but the wind is really blowing today. All right, so to finish this off, you would just tie a knot in it in the end. Wow, that is really strong. When I used that spider, it broke off pretty easily. Okay, well, cut that off. Right, there's my needle. Alright, so that's about 2 feet. Yeah, that's about 2 feet of cordage. And that took about 15 minutes. So, you know, in an hour you could have 6 feet. Maybe longer, depends on probably the more you work with it, the faster you get and the easier it gets for you. And probably if I were to soak, like I said, soak that stuff a little bit longer, it might become a little more pliable and I wouldn't wear my hands out as much twisting on it. But you can see, like if you have anything like that, you can just trim it shorter if you're worried about looks. I wouldn't be. Not if this is going to be tying up logs or something. Wow, that is really strong. I mean, you could probably use this if you were needing to hang a pot over the fire. You had some way to, well, I guess you could just loop this back through itself. Create a loop like that and go through the bell handle of it and hold that pot up. So there, look at that. Cordage. Good cordage, too. That first stuff I made was not good. All right. Hope that was interesting. It's very interesting to me. And I'm going to, at some point, I will probably make some more of this, and then I'm going to go out in the woods at some point and try to build something small using this cordage. I like the yucca. It's very strong. The fibers in it are very strong. Okay. Well, that's going to be it on this video. If you found that interesting or helpful, give me a like. Subscribe to my channel if you hadn't already. We see you out in the woods.